Have you ever missed a weekend of football and felt so incredibly lost when people start talking about it on a Monday? Well, if you subscribe to the Daily Rally, you would have gotten all that sports news in an easy-to-digest and witty email sent every day straight to your email inbox. Co-founder of the Daily Rally and former PGA Tour host Kelly Hawkins is out here killing the game as a fellow sports entrepreneur. In collaboration with Void magazine, I interviewed Kelly along with other women in sports media who have a Jacksonville ties for a story dubbed Females Talking Routes and Getting Paid to Do It. That's an obvious play off quarterback Cam Newton's infamous comments back in 2017 about women working in sports media, which we hope to change with interviews like this. You can catch the full editorial, which debuts in Void's September sports issue, with some bonus video and podcast interviews that we used for the story. In this particular interview, Kelly details her life growing up as a sports fan, getting involved in sports media, and the challenges she faces in this ever-evolving industry. So welcome in, everybody. This is another round of the interviews for Void magazine's sports issue dropping September 1st. And next up on the list, we have Kelly Hawkins, the co-founder of the Daily Rally. And welcoming, Kelly. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me, Blythe. Excited to chat.
So for those of you who don't know about the Daily Rally, I read it every day. But for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about your company.
Yeah, so I realized when I was in college and then when I was working for the PGA Tour straight out of college that my friends kind of felt like there wasn't a sports news source that really resonated with them. And when I say friends, I mean like my girlfriends who were young professionals. They cared about what was happening in sports and they wanted to stay up to date with it. And sports were a big part of their lives, but they really weren't going to go watch SportsCenter. They weren't going to follow a bunch of writers on Twitter or anything. And so I wanted to create something that would resonate with them and that they could read really quickly and feel in the know and feel a little bit more part of the conversation than they had previously. So I started the Daily Rally, and it started as a daily email newsletter every weekday, and I still send that out, and it just kind of gives you the rundown. And I write it in a way that's very human interest oriented. Hopefully it's funny and makes you laugh, and you can read it in under 5 minutes, and you'll have every headline you need to know to participate in any sort of conversation, whether it's at work or at a bar after work or wherever you might find yourself. And from there, we've launched the podcast and video content and growing. And it's been a lot of fun, and it's truly like my life's passion. And I can't imagine doing anything else now.
So how did you have like a Eureka moment where you came up with the idea, or was it sort of just trying to solve a problem for a lot of your friends?
Yeah, I kind of did. Well, I had started reading The Skim, which is, a news version of TDR. And I just started, I was 23, or maybe even 22. I think I was 22 when I had the idea. And I was so entrenched in golf and working in golf. And it was the NFL playoffs. And I can remember it very clearly. I was sitting on my couch and was reading The Skim, and I was watching ESPN. And I was trying to find out more information about the playoffs because I just had been so focused on work. I didn't really even know what was going on. And I realized there should be an easier way to keep up to date with this, and not everything I searched and everything I was looking for. It was so in depth. It was like, if you hadn't been there from the beginning, get out. Like you're not going to be able to keep up with the story. And so I kind of put those two things together and went, this is something I want to pursue and I want to do. But getting started on something like that, it takes a lot of like planning and thinking about it, and honestly like courage to just even write the first one and hit send, because I really did feel like I was kind of putting myself out there and wasn't even sure if it was going to be good or if I was going to want to read it, but it's worked out.
So what does a typical sort of day in the office look like for you? And does it vary like sports season to sports season?
Oh, absolutely. Right now is so much prep is happening right now for football season. All of my planning, all of the projects I'm getting going for the fall. August, it's such a dead time during the sports season. It's so boring. Even just doing content during this time of year is like, okay, what regular season baseball game do I talk about today?
Right.
It's not that engaging. So I'm really using a lot of this time to solidify partnerships, get things going for the fall, because once football season starts, it is just so much content. And we're launching some new products, which I'm really excited to announce later on and everything. But right now it's a very planning sort of phase. But then once fall hits, it's so much content because there's just so much to talk about. And that's the whole purpose of this is to make sure everybody's up to date and feels like they know what's going on. And there's a lot to keep up with during fall. So
yes, it's this is the planning months. I tried to tell myself that I was going to be planning during the summer, but of course, like things happen, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in August, and it's like, oh well, crap, we have a preseason game tomorrow.
Right.
So you mentioned working for the PGA Tour and then leaving the PGA Tour to start up your own company. Was there sort of like a moment that said, that, like a straw that broke the camel's back, sort of moment that you were like, I have to do this. I have to take this leap.
Yeah, I'd started TDR and continued to have my job at the tour for, I think, 2 more years. Yeah, so about 2 more years. And so I always had this kind of side hustle thing going on. And I always knew it was something that, oh, here comes my cat. I always knew it was going to be something that I wanted to pursue full time. But I was really enjoying my job at the tour. And I'd taken on a new role where I was traveling all the time. I was doing content on site. And it was, I wanted to stick with it for a little bit because, one, I was learning a ton and meeting a ton of people. And honestly, just like having fun traveling to the most beautiful places in the world for work, So I did kind of feel like it was getting hard to do both at the same time. And there was never, the thing that told me to quit was there was never a moment that I was going, I think I need to put TDR down and pursue the tour full time, and just put all my eggs in that basket. I always had that going on the side. And I think it reached a point during spring of 2017 where I went, I can't do both well. And I am always going to wonder if I don't really go for it with the Daily Rally. And so I just took the plunge and went for it. And it was really nice because I have a great relationship with the people at the tour, and my bosses were so supportive. And it was like the best way that transition could have happened. Because, it's always scary. You don't want anybody to be mad at you or feel let down or anything like that.
Right.
But, it was the best. It was a really, really nice transition.
So since making that transition, what's been the biggest challenge for you?
Oh my gosh. There are so many things that you don't realize you're going to go through when you do something like this. And I know that you're the same way with your company. I really do treat the Daily Rally like a business project, and it was a side hustle, but I always wanted to build it as a company. And that was something I think over 25 companies in his life. It's a huge part of my upbringing. And so I always looked at it that way. And I think the biggest challenge is I never hit a moment where I go, I don't want to do this anymore. This is too hard. I've had, you get too many no's or things don't work out the way you planned it. I never feel like I want to quit, but I think, there's definitely times where things aren't going how you want them to. And everything seems like you're having to adjust and you're having to pivot and you're just having to keep that stamina up to keep going and stay positive. I think those are the hardest moments, but even those moments I have a great time with. And you're constantly solving problems with a startup, and that you have to love that part of it. And I really do love it because the minute someone goes, no, well, that doesn't really work for us that way, I have to figure out how to adjust and make it work for everyone. So that's been the hardest, but that doesn't mean it's been a bad part,
Sure. So you talk a little bit about the struggles, but have you had any of those moments where damn, I love what I do?
Yes. Well, and I think a big thing too, especially when you're a newer, smaller company, is celebrating the little successes. The first time the Daily Rally received a check that said the Daily Rally LLC on it. And it was not that much money, I can promise you, but you're just like, oh my God, I created this. Or when you partner with a company that you really love and value, and they see value in you back, and you get to celebrate that moment. That's so exciting. Even today I got an email from another female sports reporter who I admire a lot, and she just said some really encouraging words about how much she likes TDR and that she really thinks it's a great idea and to keep it up. Even that moment where you're just like, oh my gosh, someone else in the industry sees value in what I'm doing. I'm totally an emotional person. I'm totally a sensitive.
Oh, that's awesome.
Even when you have to be tough and you have to be willing to negotiate and stick up for yourself and push forward during the hard times, I still that stuff means so much to me. And even when you close a big deal, it's super exciting. But when you even just get some nice feedback from a reader, those are equal to me and how excited I get.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great perspective. So sort of backing up just a little bit, where did your passion for sports first come from?
So I was born in Knoxville, Tennessee, and my family all went to UT. Our whole extended family were huge UT fans. And so I grew up watching Peyton Manning as our quarterback. Like that was right when I was kind of like gaining awareness of the world. Like I was 4 or 5 years old, and Peyton was quarterback, and he was just like a religious figure in Knoxville. And then at the same time, that's when the women's basketball team at UT was three-peating national championships under Pat Head Summit. And she is like one of my biggest just idols of all time. And so it was such a natural part of my family and something that was so positive and fun that we shared together that I just knew from a young age. And it wasn't like weird that I was a little girl and I was into sports, just everyone was into it. And so you didn't have to deal with any of that crap yet. And then we moved down to Jacksonville and became huge Jags fans. And that was like right, the late 90s, like the 1999.
Oh, that's a good time.
Yeah. So we got down here. My parents were like, oh my God, this is like, UT had won the national championship in 98 or 97, 98. And then immediately had the Jags. So we were just like, this is great.
Oh, you were super spoiled.
Yeah. Then we hit a bad way for a long time. And then my sister and I ended up going to UF, like a couple of traders, and then we became huge Gator fans. And it's just always been such a fun, positive part of my life.
How do you navigate that balance between being that, like Tennessee and Florida have such a huge rivalry, like hatred there? How do you balance that rivalry?
I, of course, always want Florida to beat Tennessee. Now, because Hannah and I, my sister and I, we also dance. You can see the poster back there. There we go. We were on the dance team, and so we were obviously really immersed in sports at UF and, adore the Gators. But I always had that little part of me that, like, even if Tennessee, like when Tennessee beat us the other year, I was like, good for you guys. Like, there's a little part of me that like loves it because that is where I was born and what started everything for me. And I have so much admiration for their program and everything. So it gets a little dicey though from the other side when we were like, the Gators were so consistently beating UT. A couple of my uncles were not happy with us for a while, but so there's some family drama. But from an internal perspective, I cheer for both.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to go wrong. I mean, either way, like one part of you is going to feel happy about the result of that game.
I want the East, so SEC, like the Eastern side of it, I want them to be good because I'm so tired of Alabama dominating everything. And so even like there's even like this pains me to say out loud, like seeing Georgia be really good. I'm like, there's a part of me that's like kind of excited about that. I'm going to regret that immediately saying that. But, I always like to
into existence.
Right, exactly. Come Florida, Georgia time, I'm like, I can't stand Georgia. I hate everything about it. So, but right now before the season started, I always do kind of like to see the East do well.
Well, see, so switching gears a little bit, going into more of like the industry side of things, and I'm not sure how much has changed for you since going from the working the PGA Tour events versus going to events as a fan. But say you're walking out the door and you have a sports media bag. Like, what's in your bag?
Oh man. Okay. So I had this down to a science, for the PGA Tour. I had this backpack, this super cute backpack, and I would pack it just so for every event. And it would have my laptop. It would have 2 different types of headphones. It would have sunscreen. It would have bug spray. These are the important ones. It would have my credentials, my passport, like everything that needed to, like, I am Kelly Hawkins, let me in, like all of that. All the chargers, about like 3 or 4 different types of chargers. You cannot run out of battery ever. A Wi-Fi hotspot, very important. What else? Sunglasses. Oh my gosh. I had like an eye thing happen because I didn't wear sunglasses at a tour event one time. And like my eye literally got like this inflamed, awful thing. Always wear sunglasses. So you have to take care of yourself and you have to take care of your electronics. And that was my backpack for the tour. Now it's like so much more chill heading out the door. Like life is a breeze. Because when you're going to a golf tournament for like 9 days at a time, you are, and sometimes like in a different country too, you're prepared. Now it's funny how quickly you forget, and I'll head to a Jags game or to wherever. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot everything I needed.
So you're used to being outside, you're used to being in the elements, and obviously if you're on camera a lot, then looks are important, especially for women in this industry. So what is sort of your go-to or like your biggest hack for like hair, makeup, or outfits?
Oh yeah, I think the biggest one is, especially if you're going to be outdoors, get really good at putting together like a polished ponytail. That is the biggest thing I learned to do early on. One thing that was a good thing I learned from Dazzlers, we would dance before a basketball game. I think we were out there like for 45 minutes on the court. So by the time the game started, we had been dancing for 45 minutes straight.
Oh.
So that is an intense workout, and you still have 3 hours ahead of you or whatever. So I got really good at learning how to apply my makeup in a certain way that it wouldn't sweat off. But that's my biggest one. Learn how to do a good ponytail. Laura Rutledge with ESPN, best ponytail in the game. I always look at hers and I'm like, that is spot on. So I'd say do a good ponytail. And don't wear too much makeup.
Really? I always kind of thought that maybe you're supposed to wear more makeup because you're going to be on camera.
I've done both. And every time I just did a little bit, like I slowly started wearing less and less makeup when I was outside, because I did a ton of in-studio stuff. And that was like full-blown lashes.
Right.
Contour, all of that. I found when I was outside, it just looked caked on and it looked terrible. So know where your angles are, hit the blush, hit a little highlighter, whatever. But from there, like, do a little bit more natural. You're on the elements, you're sweating. I think it's okay too, like to look a little bit more chilled out than like when you're
Definitely, because it's not cute at the end of the day or at the end of a long game day and your makeup is smeared all down your shirt and all down your face and you just look a hot mess.
And you know what the worst part of that is, in my opinion, is that being women out there, in golf, there's like no women out there. I mean, there was like a small but mighty group of us in communications and, a couple of agents, a couple of people, but like, it's not a lot of you. You already, like, there's just so much attention on you. I just like to streamline it. Like, look polished, look put together, but you already have and it was, for me, I was like very uncomfortable with that too. Like, it might sound counterintuitive for someone who's on camera. I kind of wanted to like fly under the radar and like do my job. And so just like having it put together, and you're still going to get flack for it. Like, you're still gonna have people who were probably just mad that you're a girl and you're out there. But I just like to like keep it as neutral as possible and just do your job and do it well and get out. Because you already have so much attention on you. It's like, you don't want it to be because you have on like all this makeup and hair and you're all done up. Like, I like to try and blend in a little bit more.
So you sort of alluded to that, but what's the biggest work challenge that you've ever faced, whether it's the Daily Rally or the PGA Tour? Do you have one that sort of sticks out in your mind?
Biggest work challenge. I'm so immersed in TDR right now that's really, what I think of. And so much of it is business related for the Daily Rally, and being a small company and trying to make noise and say, hey, there's a reason we exist. We're not just trying to be another person doing the same thing that every other sports outlet's doing. Like, here's the reason why we exist. And honestly, a lot of it is bringing attention to the fact that everyone, teams, leagues, sponsors, you guys need to start valuing the female fan, because there are so many women out there that just want to be engaged better in sports. And TDR reaches a lot more people than just women. I have a huge male readership, because a lot of them are like, yeah, this is all I want too.
Exactly.
But just shout out to the girls, don't have anything out there. Everything's pink and pandering and gross.
Yes.
And you hear things where companies are going, yeah, we know we need to reach women, but we just don't have the capacity to do it right now. Or it's just not proven that we're going to get a return, so we're not trying it. Like, the minute we start getting teams and leagues and sponsors to go, we see you and we value you, they're going to start making more money. So that always to me is like, you're ignoring like half the population and
the people who make the buying decisions in a household.
Like, that is, research shows that women make the buying decisions. And so that's probably been my hardest work challenge is, trying to make that point and go, I promise this is worth investing in, and you will see return on it once we just start acknowledging women more. I think that's kind of been my cross to bear, and it's a battle I love fighting. I think that's the toughest challenge for sure.
Well, speaking of women and especially working in this industry, that traditionally, or historically, I should say, they've always been women have been put in like this sort of sideline role where you're taught to read the news. You're not necessarily taught to give your opinion, but the Daily Rally is kind of a mix of both. How do you sort of walk that tightrope of balancing news and opinion?
Right. It's funny because there's a huge part of me that goes, I keep my opinion pretty out of it. Just like, here's what's happening. You figure out how you feel, because there's going to be, especially with how many, politicized issues, especially in the past year there have been, it doesn't matter how I feel. Like I just want you to know the information and you decide, because I'm not here to say it's wrong, but there are certain things that get me fired up, and I do inject my opinion in. Most of it's light and funny, and I'm happy to say this made me laugh, or this, was sentimental to me. But there are like, I wrote it was like a pretty fiery little snippet about the whole Roberto Osuna.
Oh, yes.
No, Osuna?
Wait. No, wait.
Oh, actually,
Now I'm going to blank on his name.
I know. I'm like, Osuna. It's Osuna. Yeah. So, he went to the Astros, but they traded for him from the Blue Jays when he was in the middle of a 75-day suspension for beating his girlfriend, allegedly. And so he was arrested. He was charged. The MLB was like, we're sitting you down for a little bit. He has a court date September 5th. So the Astros traded for him. He's a great player. He's going to be productive for them on the field. There was no question that was going to be a beneficial trade for them. But they're putting out all this, PR stuff about like, we really thought about this so hard. And, we just really, and I'm like, just call it what it is. You traded for him because he's a good player. Like, don't act like you really considered. Because if you did consider if he's a good person or not, you probably wouldn't have traded for him. And so that got me fired up. I would put like a fiery piece about that. But I generally find that if it's stuff like that, if someone disagrees with me, I don't particularly care, because I'm pretty passionate about like, yeah, if that's what happened, if you did something like that, you're a bad person.
And sort of when you get fiery in your emails, or even on Twitter or any kind of other social media platform, do you ever get any, sort of trolls that sort of fight back, and how do you deal with them?
I mean, the good thing is that whenever I was working for like the tour, let's say, and if I had a troll come at me, I honestly felt worse, because I felt like I was representing the tour. I was representing this brand, and I didn't want to do anything to hurt that brand, especially as like a 22, 23-year-old. Like I was very like, oh my gosh, I want to do a good job for them. Mm-hmm. Something about when it's your own company and when you're just representing yourself. I mean, I would be devastated if no one liked what I was doing and everyone thought I was stupid. That would hurt my feelings. But when someone doesn't like what I'm saying, you're kind of just like, I don't care as much. Right. And that's not to say I discount my readers' opinions. I'm happy to hear if someone disagrees with me or sees that situation from a different light. But there's something about it that's a little bit more freeing. And I feel very strongly like, yeah, well, that's what I quit my job and started this company, so I'm going to kind of say what I want sometimes.
Exactly. I couldn't agree with you more. So since starting your company and since going full time with it, do you have a moment that was like the biggest, like pinch yourself moment?
Oh, I mean, I think anytime you get gratification from someone credible, those are the pinch myself moments. I had some stuff with the Jags last year, and that was, stuff I'd worked on for a long time. And so seeing, my logo with the Jags logo, which is also my hometown team, like I remember that was a huge moment that I was like, damn, I put a lot of work into this. And I'm like, they're really good. And trying to make always I have a pinch moment, and I'm very quick to take pride in some is the way to say it. Even if things don't pan out exactly like you think, there are some moments that just make it really fun to keep going and to keep pressing on, and yeah.
So do you have a favorite woman that you sort of idolize or sort of have watched her career throughout sports media?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mentioned Laura Rutledge. She's a really good friend of mine, and
oh dang, I think we're hitting a little connection issues. Let me see. Can you still hear me okay? I think we lost Kelly. Let's see, 25. Come back, Kelly. I don't know if you can hear me, Kelly, but maybe try Xing out of the broadcast and then coming back into it from the link in the email. Hopefully you can hear me. Let me see. Oh, I think we got a chat function. Oh, we got movement. Oh, dang. All right, so about the, let's see. Let's see. This is where, oh, we're back.
Okay, sorry. I could hear and see you the entire time. I don't know what happened.
Oh, you could see me too. Okay, good. I think we're good again. So cool. So we're kind of sort of crapped out on us. Women in sports broadcasting, and we'll go through and we'll edit this out and we'll clean it up a little bit. But who do you idolize as far as like a woman working in sports media? I heard you mention Laura Rutledge earlier.
Yes.
Who do you idolize and why?
I love Laura so much because she and I were friends from UF, and she was a few years older than me. And so when I was like this, 18-year-old just trying to figure out how to get a start in sports, she really championed me and helped me out. And so seeing her rise is just like, it makes me so happy. And she's on SportsCenter now and just she covers so many huge sports and games. And she also really, I love watching her on Feinbaum, and I think she's really good. She's a really good balance of giving her opinion and just knowing what she's talking about, being a great journalist, and just being fun to watch and a great personality. So I think that she's doing amazing things, and I'm so glad that she's getting the recognition that she definitely deserves. So I love her. I love Doris.
Yes.
I love Doris.
OG.
The best. Well, and she is just so knowledgeable and just seems like such a positive person. And I think that she makes so many strides for women being in different roles. As being a female analyst and doing everything she does in the NBA. So I love her. Oh, let's see. There's just a lot of good ones, and it's fun being a part of the industry in different ways and getting to know some of these women. But yeah, those are probably two of my favorite.
Well, hinting to that, is there any sort of stereotype about women working in sports or female fans that you just absolutely can't stand?
Yeah, it's funny because especially when I started the tour. You're working, I was working so hard and just trying to just do my best work that anytime, and I've always had great bosses and great male mentors who always supported me and cheered me on and helped me out in a way that felt did not matter that I was a woman, And so anytime anyone would come in with a sexist comment or put me down, I was always kind of shocked by it because you're going, oh my God, I forgot that was a thing that we were dealing with here. But those characters exist, and generally they're pretty peripheral. But I think the biggest thing that bothers me when it comes to content that's serving the female fan, there's about 1 billion sports sites that are clearly for dudes, and there's none for women really. And that's, why I started TDR. But I think it's the thought that if you need a woman to pay attention to sports or care about sports, you need to pink it and shrink it. You need to give her there was that huge debacle where an NFL team did a ladies' night, and they were explaining the word play clock.
Oh, that was the Bucks. I remember that.
Yeah, it was really bad. And even it was probably done with the best of intentions, but it was guys, just don't be condescending. Just talk to women like they're normal. And, that's my whole approach, is come at it from a way that I would talk to my friends, and you're going to get them to be a lot more engaged for those women.
And it doesn't have to be just for women. That's the thing. A lot of dudes need to learn about sports. Well,
and that's the thing. I have some friends who they'll be like, Kelly, don't sell yourself short. It's, guys like TDR too. And I think the point there is that I really strive to make something really quality that I put out every day. And I do it with my female friends in mind. And it shows that if you do that, and if you approach the female audience in that way, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or whatever age, you're going to connect with that. So I think it's that thought that just because something is for women does not mean that it's dumbed down or simple. Right. It's just acknowledging that audience in the way that I really find my like female conversations go. So,
well, what's one thing that future you would tell past you?
Oh man, like chill out. Just like stop being so, and I mean, I need to tell present me this, like stop being so dramatic. It's gonna be fine. Like I have so many, nothing's changed really. Things stay the same, you know, but I can just picture 22-year-old me like thinking about starting TDR and just feeling so like, oh, should I or shouldn't I, or well, just do it. Like just work hard and you know, it'll be okay. But you don't have to spend so much like strife and emotional energy on stuff, because as long as you work hard and have the best of intentions, you know, things are going to work out.
Do you have a sort of a goal in mind of where you see yourself or TDR in the next 3 to 5 years, or is it sort of just go with the flow?
Oh yeah, I definitely have goals, because I think that that's really important to set for yourself if you're going to keep moving forward and keep working with intention. And I think the 3 to 5 year goals are definitely, I want to have separate TDRs that are specific to every team. That's what I'm building out, because there's plenty of people who want the general rundown of all sports and what's happening in the news and the headlines. There's also people who want that exact same thing, but specific to their team. So that's really where I see this going. I want that for college. I want that for professional sports. And that's what we're working on right now.
What's one thing you wish that more fans knew about your job?
Oh boy. One thing I wish more fans knew. You know, I guess that it's a lot of hard work, but
it's time consuming.
You know what I think it is that if I make a mistake or anything like that, I feel really bad about it. Like I think that's something that, you know, sometimes if you get something wrong in an email, and you'll get a response from some reader that's really upset about it. I promise I did not mean to mess that up. I just write a lot, and I'm a
right.
Small
you're human.
So I think it's that I hope that they know how much I care and really want to help them out, and how seriously I take this, because it's my life's work, and I really do take it seriously. But you know, sometimes mistakes happen, or I get something wrong, and I always I beat myself up about that. So don't ever think I don't take it seriously.
Well, women working in sports, they obviously their roles are expanding and growing with every new season, with every new sport that comes out. But what is one piece of advice that you would give to a young woman that's looking to get into sports media?
Yeah, I think definitely just play your own game. Don't try and be what someone else is telling you they think you should be. And that's a tough one to struggle with, because you're trying to make it, you're trying to evolve. I mean, definitely take advice, take feedback, be really coachable. But just because you feel like, okay, I need to be the sideline reporter, or I need to be this person, or I need to be the social media girl, or I need to look perfect on camera. Forget all that and be yourself, because the minute I started being myself was when everything changed for me. And that's when I thought of TDR, and I completely changed my whole path in life, and it's been the best thing I could have done. So just, I think, be yourself, and don't, just because some guy in a room is telling you need to do this or that does not mean that guy's right. Like right. Maybe he's onto something, but he might not be. So like, listen to your intuition. Female intuition is not to be messed with.
It's not a joke.
Trust your gut for sure.
Well, where can people find more of your work for TDR, your personal accounts? Where are you going to be in the next few months, and how can people find more of your stuff?
Yes. So go to thedailyrally.com and subscribe to the newsletter. Start getting that in your inbox every weekday morning. You can read it in under 5 minutes. It comes out first thing. You're going to love it, hopefully. Please love it. And then we just launched the podcast. So subscribe to that on iTunes. It's also on SoundCloud if you're not an Apple user. And then The Daily Rally is our handle on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, all of that. And I am KHawkTDR on Twitter, and then the KHawk on Instagram. So, and yes, the next few months, football season. Let's go. A lot of Jags games.
Yes.
But we're going to be doing some traveling. We have some exciting stuff coming up, some stuff in the golf world still. And I think we're going to be all over the place a little bit. But so it's going to be busy. I'm not going to sleep.
That's awesome. I think we're all prepared for that at this point in the season. But I think it's a welcome. It's welcome.
Fun. It's just, I mean, I love fall. I love football season. It's my favorite sport. So I'm really excited.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Kelly. And for those who are tuning into the broadcast, you can catch Kelly's feature in Void Magazine's sports issue. It drops September 1st. And thank you so much, Kelly. And it was awesome chatting with you.
Thanks, Blythe. Love catching up.
Thank you. Hopefully you enjoyed that interview with Miss Kelly Hawkins. If you're not already, be sure to subscribe to the Guys Girl Media podcast and YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our football season content, along with some bonus material all throughout the season, including more interviews like this. Until next time, this is your girl Blythe signing off.